recording, I'm going to be talking about the editing which has been used in Because of You. So, the first thing which I'm going to be talking about is the cross-cutting in the argument scene. So, by this I am on about this. So when it constantly cuts the camera angle, so then you can see how each one of them are feeling and what they're looking like. They've used this in more than one place, for example here as well. So I've used it there and numerous other places throughout, but that's literally just to get the true emotions of how they're really feeling across to the audience, and it makes them sympathize. I can't speak today. It makes them feel exactly how whoever they're looking at feels. It also means that there's less bias. It also means that there's less biasness going on. So if you're constantly looking at, say, the little girl throughout this whole, not the little girl, if you're constantly looking at, where is he? The dad, for example, throughout all of this, you might start to feel a little bit of sympathy towards him as you don't know what's happening and what's going on. So by showing later on, especially when we see the mum and how they're arguing, where is the scene? So in this bit as well, we see that we go on to her face and how she's feeling. It just, this whole interchanging idea, it makes you not be biased to one person or the other, which is good. So at the beginning, during this first fight scene, we can see that they're using a technique called cutaway to show the argument within a normal house and how it is moving, well, first of all, through the window. I have to start speeding this up. So even though it's a very short clip, you do see them fighting through the window, and then you see them in the kitchen, and then you see them in the hall running away, and then finally by the front door. This whole idea gets a very normal and house sort of vibe going on, and it makes you just get a little bit more understanding for what is really happening and everything. So this quick insert of an image, it may seem a little bit odd at first, but it's quite significant to the whole plot, and it makes you really reflect, especially towards the end when you get to see that they've got a little girl themselves and that this is what she felt like, and it really makes the whole thing connect a little bit better and everything like that, which is important to input actually. We can see that at the mirror scenes, especially like here. Damn, that's probably the only one which didn't. Where are they? So here, we can see that they've used a fade out and fade in. This is just to show the slow progression about what's happening and how she's really just closing her eyes, if you think of it like that, and she's just slowly taking everything in and just churning up her own way and really breaking everything down. I think it's quite interesting as well the way which they have edited, where is that? This scene here. The way which he freezes and she's not stuck, and then the way which it also connects down here, or at the end. I think that's quite a clever little edit, although it's not together. It's quite interesting to think that she's just stepped out of herself and reflecting on the whole thing and about how it looks to her child and not just herself. So when we can see this main character and when she's turning around especially, they've used slow motion. This is just literally to make it all sink in a little bit more and get a better understanding for how she's feeling and that she's quite... it still reflects on herself, and that it is quite a touching subject for her, which is important to show that through the acting as well. So they have used an ellipsis or the expansion of time, which is basically just cutting out scenes that are self-explanatory. For example, when the mother is sitting at the table on her own and she set it all up and everything's just perfect, we can see that she walks over to the bin, but then you don't need to see her putting the plate down on the table or her continuously walking about to get to the door. It's just, they've cut out all the extra scenes of her walking around and doing the stuff which obviously you can work out for yourself, because they've only got 3 minutes 42 seconds for this song. Some significantly less, to be fair, but that's not a lot of time which they can just be faffing around with, like extra video which they don't need. So it's quite a clever way of cutting all of that out. But yeah, I think that pretty much sums up the editing for Because of You. Well, the bits which I thought were the most important.